Europe is under attack from the deadly storm Emi. Asia is in the grip of the devastating typhoon Matmo. A mysterious volcanic eruption has occurred in Kamchatka, and the Balkans have been hit by a snow apocalypse. About these and other cataclysms of the past week, in this issue, you will also learn about one of the key but still underestimated factors that is slowly destroying both the human body and the ecosystem of the entire planet. Russia. On the 4th of October, reports came from Kamchatka about a sudden eruption of the Khrenovsky volcano, the first in more than 100 years. At 11:50 local time, a powerful ash column rose, reaching 9,200 meters above sea level. The ash cloud stretched for 85 kilometers. On screen, according to satellite data and observations from the Kamchatka Volcanic Eruption Response Team, KVERT, Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, Far Eastern branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences. A red, the highest aviation hazard level, was declared. Initially, specialists reported a possible explosive eruption of Khrenovsky, but later stated that it was a phreatic release of steam and old ash, presumably from the Mar Krokur on the slope of the Krasheninnikov volcano. Supporting this version, researchers pointed out that the cloud completely dissipated within 5 hours, much faster than typical volcanic emissions, which often persist in the atmosphere for several days, and that it contained a high concentration of water vapor. However, already on the 5th of October, employees of the Khrenovsky Nature Reserve refuted the Krokur version. The Mar remained completely calm, and no signs of activity were detected. What exactly became the source of the mysterious ash emission remains unknown, and scientists are in no hurry to conclude that another dormant volcano in Kamchatka has awakened. It is worth noting that researchers from the international scientific group ALLATRA have been drawing attention for more than 10 years to the growing trend of volcanic activity on the planet, including in Kamchatka. They have also pointed out the real causes behind the sudden and abnormal intensification of seismic activity in this region. Typhoon Matmo. Typhoon Matmo struck southern China in early October, right during the popular national celebrations, National Day and the Mid-Autumn Festival. The holiday week is the peak of the tourist season. Millions of people traveled across the country, which during the disaster created a serious strain on transport and emergency services. On the 4th of October, the authorities of Hainan Island declared the first and highest level of alert. In Haikou County and the city of Wencheng, maritime transport, production, and traffic were temporarily suspended. Schools and commercial establishments were closed. Meilan International Airport canceled all flights, and train operations, including the circular high-speed line, were temporarily halted. When Matmo made landfall on the morning of the 5th of October, gusts of up to 42 meters per second tore metal sheets from rooftops and broke trees. Authorities evacuated more than 200,000 residents who were sheltered in temporary accommodation centers. In the Meilan area, on the Haidian River, under the impact of storm waves, a steel cargo ship drifted away from the pier and began moving toward a bridge, threatening its collapse. Thanks to the coordinated work of emergency and maritime services, the vessel was secured and towed away. In the evening of the 5th of October, southern mainland China was hit by the typhoon. In Zhangjiang County, Guangdong Province, wind gusts reached nearly 57 meters per second. Within 2 days, more than 450 millimeters of rain fell. On the 6th of October, although Typhoon Matmo had weakened after passing through China, its residual circulation caused floods and landslides in northern Vietnam. On 3 rivers in the country, water levels reached their highest marks in almost 40 years. In the city of Tai Nguyen, the Cao River overflowed its banks. The water level rose by more than 1 meter compared to the previous record. Streets were flooded up to car roofs, and many residents were forced to evacuate. Residents of several provinces were left without electricity and food supplies, as reported on social media by their relatives and friends who appealed for help. On a section of National Highway 3B in Tai Nguyen Province, a huge sinkhole formed, completely blocking transport on an important route. To assist residents of the flooded areas of Lang Son, 3 helicopters were deployed, delivering more than 4 tons of water and food. As a result of a dam breach about 5 meters wide at the Bac K1 hydropower plant, residents of downstream settlements were urgently evacuated. In the capital, Hanoi, where many families had only just finished cleaning up mud and debris after the deadly typhoon Bualoy. The new typhoon Matmo brought another wave of torrential rains. In some areas, up to 350 millimeters of precipitation fell. Pumping stations working to drain water from 90 flooded areas of the city were operating at maximum capacity. One local resident noted that the situation resembled a vicious circle. The water does not recede from the streets, the rains continue, people are struggling to survive, and he fears that this may become the new normal for them. The country suffered catastrophic damage. Nearly 17,000 houses were flooded, more than 22,500 hectares of fields were destroyed, and over 200,000 heads of livestock and poultry died or were swept away by floodwaters. Due to severe floods and landslides in Vietnam, 8 people were killed and another 5 remain missing. Balkan Peninsula. During the night of the 3rd of October, record rainfall caused catastrophic flooding along the southern part of Bulgaria's Black Sea coast. The greatest damage occurred in the resorts of Elenite, Sunny Beach, St. Vlas, and the town of Sarajevo. Meteorological stations in the village of Izgrev recorded more than 410 millimeters of precipitation in 24 hours. A state of emergency was declared in 5 municipalities of the Burgas region. Powerful water flows swept numerous cars and vans into the sea, flooded homes and hotels, and destroyed roads. Electricity supply was disrupted in more than 80 settlements. The unexpected flooding resulted in the deaths of 4 people, and hundreds of residents and tourists had to be evacuated. In the north of the country, severe winter weather set in. Rain turned into wet snow, temporarily closing mountain passes and causing power outages. Due to fallen trees, the National Railway Company reported significant train delays and cancellations. Abnormal weather phenomena also affected neighboring countries of the Western Balkans. In the Serbian mountains, up to half a meter of snow fell. The disaster damaged infrastructure, fallen trees tore down power lines, and roads became impassable. The municipalities of Ivanjica, Medveja, and Crna Trava in the south and center of the country were left without electricity and communication. Snowfall in Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, took both residents and tourists by surprise. Travelers who had arrived in light summer clothing found themselves within just a day urgently searching for winter boots and jackets. Nepal. Although the monsoon season in Nepal had already ended, beginning on the 3rd of October, the central and eastern provinces of the country were hit by heavy rains. The disaster triggered large-scale floods and landslides. In 8 rivers across the country, water levels reached dangerous heights. In one of the region's largest waterways, the Koshi River, the level exceeded the norm by more than twice. The Koshi Barrage Dam was placed on high alert. All 56 sluice gates were opened, whereas usually only 10 to 12 are used. The bridge was accessible only to emergency services. The rivers overflowed their banks and flooded residential areas. Evacuations affected thousands of people, and more than 20,000 police officers were mobilized for rescue operations. All domestic flights were suspended due to weather conditions, heavy rain, and poor visibility. The main roads connecting Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, with other regions of the country were closed, some due to landslides, others as a preventive measure. Traffic was blocked precisely at the time when hundreds of thousands of people were returning to Kathmandu after celebrating Dashain, the main national holiday during which residents traditionally visit their relatives in their home villages. Flooding in the Langtang Conservation Area swept away 4 tourists who were later declared missing. Landslides blocked routes to Everest, and travelers were advised to use alternative trails. Numerous landslides in the Elam district, caused by torrential rains, destroyed homes and claimed the lives of at least 37 people. The disaster struck at night, catching residents off guard. In the village of Gos, one of the tragedies unfolded when a landslide buried a house, killing 6 members of the same family. Experts noted that many of the affected areas had not previously been considered high-risk zones, so the landslides there came as a complete surprise. In the southern regions of Nepal, 3 people were killed by lightning strikes. Across the country, the death toll from the disaster reached 60, with 11 people still missing. In the Indian city of Darjeeling, West Bengal, continuous downpours during the night of the 6th of October claimed the lives of at least 20 people, destroyed bridges and roads, and flooded large areas. In western Bhutan, unprecedented rainfall created a critical situation at the Tala hydroelectric plant. Within 7 hours, the dam's discharge flow increased more than 6-fold, causing water to overflow the dam. Storm Emmy. In early October, the deadly storm Emmy struck northern Europe. This first major named storm of the autumn season was accompanied by destructive wind gusts and torrential rains. On the 3rd of October in Ireland, extreme weather left about 200,000 homes without power and disrupted air traffic. In the capital, Dublin, 115 flights were cancelled. In County Donegal, unfortunately, a man was killed. In the United Kingdom, meteorologists recorded a record low atmospheric pressure for October, 947.9 millibars. This rare thinness of the atmosphere caused a sharp increase in wind strength. On the island of Tiree, its speed reached 154 kilometers per hour. In London, the royal parks were closed. Across the country, fallen trees halted car and train movement, and in Scotland, a golf championship was suspended. According to authorities, more than 170 roads were blocked in western Norway due to the storm. Over 2,500 buildings suffered damage such as torn-off roofs and collapsed walls. On one of the mountain routes, a bus overturned, and in Oslo, a metro train derailed because of fallen trees. The municipality of Øland was temporarily cut off due to the suspension of ferry services and the closure of highways. The Swedish Meteorological Institute issued an orange danger level for the western and southern regions of the country due to hurricane-force wind gusts and heavy rainfall. On the 4th of October, the Netherlands came under the impact of Storm Emmy. Wind gusts reaching 120 kilometers per hour caused widespread destruction and transport disruptions. Schiphol Airport cancelled about 150 flights, and ferry services with the Frisian Islands were suspended. In the city of Ostend, Belgium, Storm Emmy raged with such force that authorities were forced to close access to the breakwaters. Wind gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour uprooted trees. Several cases were recorded of them falling directly onto parked cars. In northern Denmark, in Skagen, raging waves up to 4 meters high hurled heavy stones over the pier. In 2 days, the city received more than half of its monthly rainfall norm. The storm struck the northern coast of France with fury. Waves rose up to 5 meters high, and winds accelerated to 131 kilometers per hour. Thousands of residents were left without electricity, and train traffic was disrupted. According to preliminary data, 2 people became victims of the storm. One drowned in the sea, and another died when a tree fell onto a car. Numerous studies show that the key factor behind extreme rainfall is the sharp increase in atmospheric moisture content as a result of warming. Indeed, a warmer atmosphere can hold much more moisture and transport it over long distances. But there is another factor that often remains overlooked by most specialists, and many are not even aware of its negative impact on the planet's climate system. This factor is micro and nanoplastic present in the atmosphere. Trillions of these particles are not harmless debris. They can accumulate and retain electrostatic charge for long periods, thereby significantly altering the physical properties of the atmosphere. As a result, deep changes occur in cloud formation. Plastic particles become highly efficient condensation nuclei, causing clouds to form at lower altitudes. Moisture remains in them longer and in greater quantities, turning rain into catastrophic downpours. Moreover, plastic in the oceans and atmosphere acts as an insulating layer, disrupting the natural heat exchange between water and air. Consequently, energy does not dissipate but instead accumulates within Earth's system. The most alarming aspect is that this process reinforces itself. The warmer the ocean becomes, the stronger the evaporation and the more nanoplastic enters the atmosphere. The air becomes more electrically charged, and the retained energy accelerates further warming. The warmer it gets, the more moisture and plastic rise into the atmosphere, and the vicious circle continues. More than 2 decades ago, the interdisciplinary group of scientists, ALLATRA, began studying nanoplastic and was the first to raise the alarm about its dangers. Researchers found that the main threat of these particles lies in their ability to accumulate electrostatic charge, which affects both humans and nature. However, this problem cannot be solved by the efforts of a single scientific collective. It requires the unification of the knowledge, efforts, and resources of scientists around the world. That is why today it is especially important for society to take action. There must be a strong public demand for the study of nanoplastic. Only when every person understands how urgent and serious this problem is and begins to speak about it, will there be a real chance to solve it as soon as possible.